And my darling, did you enjoy the trip we took these 7 years?
Yes, I enjoyed it. It had those moments of great enjoyment, of a lot of novelty, of many new things. It had challenging moments with a lot of learning. We had a bit of everything. I'm going to reach 80, and I certainly won't say I was left wanting.
I like it.
7 years, I think that's an excellent amount of time to travel. Sometimes, I think 3 years I would have been left wanting more. The year we almost gave up, I definitely would have been left wanting more. At 5 years, I was still there. It was the breaking point that we had. Just a little for now. 7. For me, it's amazing. A dream come true.
I love it. I love it.
And how about you?
In my case, it was also one of the most challenging things I've experienced in my life. One of the craziest, the ones that will leave me with the best memories and brought the greatest lessons to my life. But in this video, we want to tell you what decision we made after 7 years of living while traveling. Yeah, we're making a change to the channel that reflects how we feel about it and our lives. We're going to tell you how we feel, and we want to tell you how everything we're doing with traveling is going to keep moving forward. We're about to start.
We're about to start.
As mentioned in the last video, this year was a year full of ups and downs with a lot of changes, a lot of things that shook us up and pushed us to make different decisions. We even realized that we wanted to go one way, which was with the truck and the motorhome to change the truck, and then we ended up seeing that maybe that wasn't really the way to go. That's why a lot of people in the videos, in the live streams, ask us, and what happened with the motorhome? When are you going to change? We changed our plans. For those who follow us, you won't be surprised at all by the constant changes of plans we have on our trip on the channel. But this was a year where we experienced so many things, and they pushed us to open our minds to let in new ideas that allow us to make better decisions. The project started taking shape around April of last year, beginning from Tepic.
We reached the limit of... We arrived
To the limit of the situation. Discomforts? Something like that. Well, the truck broke down, we couldn't find a solution, and a lot of things started to pile up. It was like a really big crisis that we went through there, triggered by the truck breaking down. But we started to feel, like a volcano that starts to erupt. A lot of things that were there started to come out,
We left them there for a little while longer.
It's just that we didn't question them.
So what we saw there, we said, well, we're uncomfortable. The van is tiny, and after years of traveling in such a cramped space, it often breaks down, requiring frequent trips to the mechanic and causing many postponements. Because of that, so we said, well, what we need is to move to a bigger motorhome.
We felt that we needed space.
We needed more space as the positions inside the van every day are not the best. We need a bathroom and a shower, so...
We decided that was what we needed, something bigger. When we entered the United States, we planned to trade the estanciera for a motorhome, abandoning the idea of driving it to Alaska. All of that deeply affected us, and sharing it was profound.
A little side note in this story. Hard work during the trip. A lot. Many believe that leaving everything behind to travel means detachment and letting go. However, this process continues throughout the journey. I mean, that's life itself. You cling to things and then you have to let them go again. We had a label, from Argentina to Alaska in a station wagon, but life told us to let go of that label too. So that was a real shock.
When we started to let that go, the decision was, okay, let's keep going. We entered the United States. We sold the truck thinking we could get a better price and bought a motorhome to continue our trip. Upon arriving in the United States,
We began exploring motorhomes and considered selling the estanciera, but progress was slow and we weren't making much headway. I'm usually very quick with paperwork, with finding things out, with making those decisions, and nothing was moving forward or backward. So at one point we started to think, well, what's going on? Why is this decision that seems so clear? But we just couldn't take action. So at one point I allowed myself to let my mind wander and let in ideas that were kind of there, pushing from the side. And I said, do I really want to be in Argentina? Like, is it for me to go to the United States? Plus all the experiences. It was like reaching the very end of the trip. For me, the trip was already coming to an end. It was winding down. Traveling around the United States and spending time there was the defining experience for me.
in fact, I remember that in that conversation, that was the feeling you gave me. It was like, for me, that's it. I want to be in Argentina.
I still want to keep traveling. I kept asking myself why I don't want to travel anymore, even though I always wanted to. Don't I want to keep traveling? I do want to, but in different ways. And right now, on the scale, what weighs more is that I want to be in Argentina. It's my country because of everything it means and its roots. I think everyone in the United States feels that way at some point. That we talk about a lot with people who have been here for a long time outside their country.
Many people are unable to leave, which is deeply impactful.
At some point, you really miss the gestures of people from your country, the smells of your city, being surrounded by family. And in my case, there's also a bit of wanting to develop some things that I feel, because of my personality, I can accomplish more by staying still for a little while. So, being honest with myself about that.
I remember that afternoon when we were sitting on a little blanket like this in a small park in Castaic.
Remember drinking?
And the fat girl, she said she really wanted to go back to Argentina.
So the other question was, what do you feel like doing?
And well, since we were having a very honest afternoon and allowing ourselves, I don't know, letting in different ideas, so to speak, I started thinking, how did I feel about all that? And the truth is, you probably noticed, I was and still am super excited about the United States. In fact, when I was young, I wanted to go study there. Aren't you 25? Yes, at 10. Yes, at 10. At 10. I used to watch shows from there and wanted to experience high school life and do exchanges. The United States has always attracted me, and since we started traveling through it, I'm fascinated by it and love it. It was like I was in one of the best moments of the trip, exploring a place that I loved.
With the truck that was working, and the truck was starting, but it ran. When I started it, ran.
So I said, ugh, I'm really excited about what we're doing then. So then I started thinking and I said, am I more into continuing to travel?
And was it noticeable? I think that was one of the hardest things for me, to be honest with myself and say I'm ready to start wrapping things up. Because Andy was like with new energy, with new enthusiasm.
So then came the conversation of, okay, Sin needs this, I want this. How do we make both things work together?
It was one of the easiest decisions and agreements of the whole trip. It was good. Do you want to keep traveling solo?
I did feel a little uneasy, but I said yes. The truth is, I always had this little thing inside kept away that I would like to take a trip alone. To experience it, I think it's something I will really enjoy.
Because one of the things we've always kept in mind is that being together shouldn't be something that leads us to,
Cuartante.
of course, like something that's not limiting, that's not restrictive, as long as we can always come to an agreement. I know one, I know about the other one. But this was a situation where the wishes were very different, so we had to find a solution to something so different. It's about being more open, which wasn't difficult for us. Saying I could go back while you continued traveling solo was a relief for me. At that moment, it was a huge relief to have cleared everything up and to have this freedom between us to be able to do it.
So the decision we made that wonderful afternoon was that we were going to go back to Argentina, that Cynthia was going to stay here, and that I was going to go back to the United States to continue the trip alone.
Unlike what had been happening with the motorhome, which was that we couldn't take action, that things weren't flowing, that we had information, that we had people, but we couldn't cross that line into actually doing it. This was very different. Edwin, who works for an airline, had written to us a couple of days prior and offered to fly us to the eastern United States. He could get us super cheap tickets.
At that moment, it wasn't useful to us as it didn't fit our plans.
I said, look, honestly, we don't want to travel to the east of the United States right now, but is there a chance we could travel to Argentina with a cheap ticket? And
the great Edwin said yes.
He agreed and offered amazing prices. Within a week, it was all settled. We already had a place to leave the truck. We had a route planned for the next months. It was all like that. And above all, a huge feeling of, we're on the right track. This is what we want.
In fact, I think that was the strongest part. When you feel that this was the way to go, everything relaxes and begins to flow. And it was also really nice to start going through the last months of the trip as we knew it.
Yes, we experienced everything in a very renewed way. Because it was like, oh, this is the last time. That's such a thing. Oh, this is the last time. That's such another thing. And then, how will it be when you're alone in the truck and in the supermarket? And you come to do the shopping by yourself?
Well, I was telling them, imagine it when you're in Argentina, in your own little place, you set up your space. Are you enjoying your family like you needed to? It's like we were really excited to know that.
Each of us was going to have what we needed.
Exactly. And this whole last stretch in the United States was really nice. We traveled a lot of miles.
Is something incredible because our trip always averaged about 700 kilometers per month. I have 500 kilometers per month. And now it was like, well, if this was going to end for me, what things did I want to experience? So we made a little list. And one of the things I wanted was to go a little faster, to do more kilometers. The truth is, we achieved it. In the last 2 months, we covered an unthinkable distance of 2,000 kilometers.
Clearly, to do those 2,000, it was unthinkable for the budget as well. But it was the farewell, so it was worth it.
Obviously, to do that, we set aside many other things. We dedicated less time to other tasks. But, well, we focused on moving at a faster pace. And it was very good.
We traveled extensively to various distant locations, including national parks.
We spend more time alone since going with others means a slower trip, as it involves developing contact and going at a different pace. To their house, it's coordinating, it's sharing. So this was a journey, a time to be more alone and faster.
Look, the last time something similar happened, it was thrilling. The previous time we went to get gas. And the last time the estanciera broke down together was when we were arriving at Eduardo and Ana's house. Where is the estanciera now? Remember when we came off the highway with no brakes, all the way to the last house where we were going to leave the estanciera? Do you recall Stancy's small gesture that seemed to say, "What for?"
And one of the questions Andy would ask me when we were driving those last few kilometers was, how do you feel? Going through the last few kilometers? He thought I might feel sad about saying goodbye, but honestly, I don't.
I was very emotional about the whole situation, but you were very clear about what you needed.
But not for me. The goodbye happened during the crisis in Tepic. That was it for me. That's where I went through all the crying, all the anger, all the closure. Now it was okay. This is okay. I'm enjoying it. I was enjoying the last kilometers of the road. I was enjoying the last landscapes. I was enjoying the last fuel stops. For me, it was a moment of enjoying it and feeling it was okay and fine. Usually, goodbyes and endings aren't difficult for me. I go through them slowly, but they're not hard. I've noticed this in tough situations. They aren't hard for me, but I enjoyed that ending, and each time I became more certain that it was the right decision for me.
When we arrived, we began sharing the decision with family, friends, and fellow travelers. And it kind of felt nice.
At some point, I went through this feeling of, I'm not finishing. Could it be that I stopped before I felt good? And some friends told us, you've already done it, you've already traveled, you've already fulfilled your dreams. I mean, you've already done it for 7 years. I already had the desire and did it. It doesn't need to continue endlessly. And I fulfilled it, and now I'm going after other desires.
Beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Very nice things are coming.
And now your chance to fulfill that wish that stayed at the bottom of the drawer for a long time because it was good already.
I never thought I was going to do it. And I'm really excited to finally have some time to make decisions about paperwork, little fixes, and solving things in the estanciera. I think that
To fully experience what it means to travel alone.
yes, absolutely. It's true that I travel at a much slower pace, and we'll see how it all turns out. I'm really curious, where will you end up? In 5 months, I'm still in California.
5 months later, Yucca Valley.
But I'm really excited about getting to know the little places. Eduardo the genius is starting to make some changes to the station wagon.
The trunk, the crash, and the breaking of the trunk was also what we needed because it turns out that trunk is now going to be modified. So it's actually good that it broke.
Yeah. And I'm gonna put a bicycle on top. I'm really looking forward to hiking trails in the mountains, to doing that kind of outing, because in the United States there are 3 million trails to explore. I'm really excited about an upcoming part. We've set a deadline for it. The trip has a definite duration.
What about the motorhome?
No. Well, about the motorhome, when we made this decision, that's when we said, okay, the motorhome, yes. It's true that we need the space, we need to be more comfortable, the posture and all those things. But well, now that I'm going to be traveling alone and it's going to be for a limited time, I feel like I'll manage just fine. Because it's not for life. We won't be continuing our trip by purchasing a motorhome and traveling in it. It has a limited set time, after which I'll return. Then we start making plans that are amazing, beautiful, that we have for Argentina.
So the execution of the motorhome change turned out abandon.
We leave it there when it no longer has any effect, like they say, when it no longer makes sense to do it, right?
It makes sense since it will only take a few months to adjust to the change. Everything stays the same, with just a few minor modifications to the station wagon to accommodate a bike, so that you can keep going, and Andy will keep going, and Andy will keep going for a limited time.
Yes, they will be. 6 months, so in July 2023, the trip from Argentina to Alaska ends. Actually, I haven't decided if I want to reach Alaska. I don't want that to define my trip. I'd rather just travel. 6 months making the route and speed decisions that I feel like making at that moment. If I feel like reaching Alaska, I'll get there. And if not, I think the most important thing for me is to keep getting to know myself or discovering myself as a traveler now on my own. So I think that's it. That's my search during these 6 months, like seeing how I feel, what I want to do, how things flow. I don't want to label myself as Alaska or anything else.
I want to see how that journey will unfold. Because, of course, since there were two of us, we agreed on many things. And 50% of it was my wishes. Now let's see, what are yours?
Real wishes. I have no idea, Blondie.
Now each of us will have to cook every day?
We're going to have to cook every day, each one on their own. Wash the dishes, make the bed. There's no more division of tasks, at least for the next few months. Next week, the week after this video is published, I'm already going back to the United States, and that's when I start that part of the trip.
So it's not like I'm leaving the trip. I'm still here. I'm going to be in the channel. Eventually there will be live streams, and I'm going to be in the live streams. Most likely, you're going to ask about mechanical issues because I keep all the records.
Here and in the X, if you're going to be my mechanic from afar, it's going to be you. Yes, Cynthia, go on.
Emotionally, we're going to keep supporting each other.
Cynthia continues doing all her usual work as expected. On Viajar Vale la Pena, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work you don't see on screen.
Now the messages will be answered more frequently since I'll be more at ease.
So you can leave us in the comments. We are very interested in hearing your thoughts and feelings about everything we've shared with you. But definitely, we're in Argentina enjoying our last days. Sin is going to stay to enjoy the things he wants to do here. In a few days, we'll celebrate our 9-year anniversary as a couple.
Another reason why we came. 9 years is nothing to sneeze at. Because just like we do everything, backwards on the trip, the opposite of everyone else. Travelers. Also, this because we met each other immediately we left. We got into a van and went on a trip together. And now that we've been together for 9 years, each of us is kind of dating. You know, you over there, me over here.
That's how it happened, and those who are with us understand how decisions are made on this channel in life.
And I think something really beautiful is coming. So, we'll all be supporting Andy from this side of the screen. Now I'll experience what it's like to watch you from here. To watch the journey as a spectator, and not as a main participant.
And will you be saying things like, no, Andres is the condenser? I imagine, because
we always disagree. Every time the truck breaks down, I tell him it's the distributor. I say it's the carburetor, and I'm always right. Ask Eduardo that. He's there fixing everything.
But good things are coming.
We're really excited that everyone is doing what they need to do. What are we going to do with it? I'm sure you're wondering about the truck, but we don't know. Yet we have no idea. Well, wait. There's something I do want, which is to sell it in the United States, because financially that's the most convenient. We must observe the execution, see how things progress, and discover what life has planned for us.
So this 2023 starts off with everything, with new decisions, with a renewed journey.
And the motto for this year, which we decided already before the end of 2022, go with the flow. It was a difficult decision. Yes, it could be considered controversial. And so, well, let's go with the change. This is what we need. Here we go.
It's about going with the flow because some really beautiful changes are coming. So we'd love for you to tell us in the comments everything you feel, everything you think about what we're sharing with you. This isn't just a trip, it's also our lives going back and forth, making decisions, planning for the future. The most beautiful part is being able to share it, knowing that so many people are listening to us. Stay tuned in. 2023.
Future travelers, keep these things in mind. They can happen too.
They can happen.
There can be changes in taste and you might want or need changes.
It's okay to proceed with those changes. Sorry for the dogs, the airplanes, the birds, they all got noisy right now.
They all got excited because we told them some amazing news. We send you a big hug and we'll see you when, my love?
What do we say now?
Good question.
Will I see you in the next video?
It's worth it. It's worth it to travel. Travel is worth it to travel. Travel is worth it to travel.